Way to set the scene. Welcome everyone. Welcome Arinzé.
Hey,
welcome to Google. Absolutely delighted to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Fabulous. We're going to kick off straight into it, off the bat. I'm going to first do a quick intro about Misty, what we just saw here, and then a snippet about you, and then we'll just start to really just unpack with questions, if that's cool for you.
That's cool.
So Misty, following a sold-out run at the Bush Theatre, it then transferred to the West End at Trafalgar Studios, which my understanding it's a limited season, but did it just recently get extended?
It just got extended to November the 17th.
Which is amazing, so no small feat, this is awesome, well done. And it's described in one line, if I had to pluck a line out, a lyrical journey through the heart and soul of inner city London. So we'll unpack that in a minute, if that's cool with you. Off the bat, from my perspective, having seen the show last week, it's undoubtedly a phenomenal performance, I have to say, and it's a really captivating show. For me, I thought that the formats, like the genres from physical theatres in there, prose to verse, music that sometimes feels like you're at a concert for a moment and then it switches to something else. There's comedy in there as well, but underlined you have some really meaningful themes and storyline. And so I thought it was seamlessly blended together, and for the X amount of time, I don't even know, frankly, how much time I was there for, but I was just, I was just
10 years.
10 years. For 10 years, and I didn't want it to stop, so it's fantastic. And it was, I was like, no, I wasn't ready. I was saying that the ending, I wasn't ready for it, actually. Won't spoil anything. So seamlessly blended. So congratulations on the acclaim you've had for the play and through the press, because I certainly understand it. And then, of course, just to set the scene and sort of, mention your CV, as it were, you're not new to this. You've done extensive stage work, Lion King, Girl from the North Country, One Night in Miami, just to name a few. Starred in a variety of films, TV, including EastEnders for a while, and then an upcoming movie, Being So Long, with Michaela. Is it Michaela or Michaela?
Michaela.
Michaela Cole. And then, of course, you write books, plays. Did I read 7?
I don't,
you don't even know. Okay, let's just go. Let's go with a good number of plays and screenplays as well. So you're part of. Is it well, you'll tell me what you're a part of. Well, yeah, in a minute, if that's okay. This is sort of like your. So in a nutshell, that's sort of your part of a very small part of your CV. Beyond that, I just want to also just give a snippet about. Beyond the CV. So you're born in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yes.
You raised then, when you were young, you moved to London and based in Hackney.
And you decided to leave when I was 3.
You just decided to leave. Yeah. Enough, I'm going, well, I want to try something new. Okay, awesome. And then years later, obviously not when you were 3, you then, so cast your mind forward many, many years, you went to university, I want to pick on this point, and you studied?
Well,
tell me about your journey to becoming a successful actor.
There's some misinformation.
Okay.
So I didn't go to uni.
I
was accepted.
Yeah.
I decided instead to give acting a shot. Yeah. But I was going to go and study physiotherapy.
Right.
And then I was like, actually, I don't want to be fixing Tony's knee. I'd rather be on stage messing up my knee, which I have been doing.
Yeah.
That's what happened in 2006.
Yeah. So you just went it. So tell us a bit about that journey to now becoming a successful actor, because I suspect many people, certainly I know it, having been an actor for a while, that like it is no easy industry, and that's, I mean, it genuinely isn't. So how did that come about, and like what does that entail? Tell us about that journey.
Sure. Well, I guess, so one thing that I kind of got from my family, I would say, is grit, is just like hard work. I realized early on when I started performing that a lot of people had the same dreams as me, and I was like, how do I stand out? What do I do in order to kind of just like excel? but also to be undeniable, you know, like to kind of like people to kind of go, yeah, we want that guy, you know, not like one of these guys, you know. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit weird, but that's actually what I saw as success, you know, like people knowing that they want me specifically, not just like a guy who can fit this thing, you know. And so over the last 12 and a half years, I've been, I guess, working on that, you know, on being like quite specifically me as an artist, as a creative. I guess acting has been a massive part of it, you know, showing people what I can do on stage, on screen, but also the work that I create, you know, which, you know, I've been quite nervous about over the years, about trying to, about being honest about what I love to make, you know, because of I feel like the type of work that I make now, Misty's closest to, it's kind of like, it's probably my most honest work. In fact, it is, you know, by far. I've written other plays that have been honest, but I have, you know, been kind of battling with, I guess, the creative mind. You battle with second guessing your own work. You know, you kind of, you read pre-existing work and you kind of go, okay, cool. So maybe mine has to kind of be similar to that. And, you know, so with certain things I've written in the past, I kind of was writing to this phantom structure, you know, that existed, you know, and that some people call it like, you know, an orthodox kind of structure or traditional approach to playwriting. And over the last few years, I don't know what's happened, but I just kind of really grew quite tired of having like a structure to write to, and so I've you know, I've really kind of wrestled with my demons artistically, you know, and Misty came out, and Misty is like, that's why we're so, everyone, you know, who's been involved in it feels, you know, I'm pretty proud of it, you know, because I don't think there's much like it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact,
I mean, you were sat there for 10 years. You didn't even know.
Didn't know I was there for 10 years. I could have gone on longer. No, exactly. I think that, yeah, I certainly would echo. That was my impression of that work. And it sounds like, yeah, to get there and to where you are today, the grit, tenacity, determination, knowing what you want. Like, I guess 2 questions. How did you know what you wanted, and what support have you had? Like, you know, whether it's your family or your friends on that journey, because it's a tough journey.
Yeah, it was tough. From, I guess when I was a kid, when I moved to London, to East London, 91, you know, kind of a very traditional Nigerian family, in the sense that you had, I guess, like 3 or 4 options about what you could be. You know, you could either be, you guys know, doctor.
Yeah, hear laughter there. Yeah.
What's the other one? Engineer, lawyer, accountant. That's about it, isn't it? You know, it's kind of like, and then all the, you know, the other bits that kind of, I guess, like, you know, if you're a pharmacist, then that's all right, you know, because you studied medicine, you know. I mean, it's close enough, but you're not. Yeah. If you don't have the doctor, then it's like, who are you? Yeah. So that was the kind of like, that was the path that was, I guess, laid out for me. You know, that was the reason why my dad brought us all over, so we could become those things. And so, you know, while later in life I was given the freedom of what to study, this thing had been instilled in me. And even when I had the choice of what to choose to study in 6th form, I went and chose chemistry, biology, photography, RE, you know, but the chemistry and biology, I wasn't really into it, not really. I mean, like, I knew you know, I could memorize things, you know, and so, you know, that kind of gave me the impression that I was sort of good at it because I could memorize stuff. Yeah. But you have to have a passion for it, don't you? You know, and so we came to a compromise. My family, my dad and I, that I would study physiotherapy. You know, however, there was this kind of raging undercurrent in me all through my teens, and it was just saying, perform, get on stage, do your thing, you know. And I would have these secret conversations with people, like relatives, like, you know, imagine if, like, I don't know, I was to just like jump on a stage and like do something. But I would never kind of really kind of give myself a chance. Over the years, you know, so for example, when I was in my early teens, I joined a youth company, you know, and I was doing stuff on the weekends when I wasn't playing basketball. Never invited my family to see anything, because if I knew it would just be shut down city. So this gap year thing, you know, I went into it knowing that I would never go because that would have been soul destroying.
Yeah.
But that was I wouldn't change a thing as well, because by the time that I was, things started kicking off as far as like getting professional work, I was so grateful, you know, because if it was something that I felt like I couldn't do, like I felt like I wasn't allowed to do. Even like for a few years, you know, when I got the ball rolling, it was still very hard to convince my family that this is going to work and this is what I'm doing now.
Are they convinced now? Surely now they're convinced.
No, they are.
Okay,
I mean, but it's funny because it's weird. Like the job that convinced my dad that I was going to be all right. All he wanted to know was that I was going to be all right. Sure. And the reason, I mean, you know, I don't like kind of, I won't criticize him for wanting me to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, because of those were the things that, according to him, like kind of ensured that you would have a really good life and you would be able to look after your family and so on. It was, you mentioned Enders, so EastEnders. So when, you know, and the thing is, right, it's funny, but you know, it's kind of, it's just funny, the ones that I guess family respond to, people really respond to. But when I got that, which was my first television job, he was, I think it was a massive weight off his shoulders, and he was like, you know what, I'm watching my son on television with like these characters that I've been watching for like 10 years, and like you're there. After that, I was given a much, less of a hard time. Yeah. Even though he did still ask me like a couple of years after that, so when are you going back to uni? And, I don't know, man. I was like, that degree, it's going to have to be an honorary. Yeah, it might thing, be. You know.
Might be,
well, I'm not going.
No, I'm not going.
Not going.
I'm not going, Dad. No. No, absolutely. As a parent, I can definitely understand. Like, although I was very much like, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Yeah. But now that I am a parent, and there's 4 of them, I can definitely see. I have actually said the words. I couldn't believe it. Where I was like, oh, what about being, you know, a doctor? Like, pharmacist came up. I couldn't believe what I was saying, you know, from the background that I had. Yeah. So it's interesting as well. So now that like you are where you're at, how aware are you of then influence that you can have on others? You said that you knew what you wanted, and you wanted to convince others that they needed you, the world needs you, in doing what you do. So how aware of the influence you have on others now, and what are they, if you know the influences you have on people?
Well, that's the thing. You can never quite know, can you? Yeah. You know, I mean, some people, you know, kind of wait after the play is done and kind of tell me what they thought of it and how it affected them. Or some, you know, people write, you know, I always read everything, you know. Do you? Yeah. And, you know, some people write, and it's always humbling, you know, to see, I guess, the impact that I have as a creative. and it's also eye-opening, you know, and I've really thought about it over the years. I think that's a great question because I've learned so much through story in my life, you know, as in from when you're a kid, you know, you're watching cartoons and you're learning about how to share, you know, through this cartoon episode you watched that's about sharing, you know, and it's like that never stops, you know, learning through story. And you could also learn really bad things about yourself through story, which happened to me growing up. You know, it's no secret, but, you know, some of the depictions of like young black men and women in the world, you know, it's shocking, you know, and kind of repeating certain work over and over. You know, as a young man, I'd sit there and not having, I guess, not knowing what to watch. You know, I'd watch that too, and I'd start thinking a certain thing about myself, you know, because of every time I turn on the telly, it's like, you know, the black guy's got to be the criminal, you know, and so, you know, it's about like, I guess, thinking about all of that, how complex that whole thing is. Yeah, it's it has informed my work in a way. It's a real thing, story. You know, it can change people's lives. It can make them, you know, I mean, it can talk a person off the ledge. You know, it's like, you know, if you have the capacity, you know, or the will, the want to tell story, then you do have a freedom. But I also feel a sense of duty, you know, because I just know a little bit about what impact, you know, creating can have.
Yeah.
And that's just creating as a whole, like not even particularly playwriting, but
Sure.
just that.
Just being that person out there who's aware of it and doing whatever it is that you might be doing.
Yeah.
So segueing into Misty now, and just thinking about, actually, there's a point in your play here where you mention around the point that you just mentioned now around like, well, what do people see on TV, you know? And so anyway, so that's mentioned in the play, and I thought that was a really apt moment in the play where you mentioned like, what are the role models, or what do we see, or like, why are certain films super successful and others not, and like, why can't we just see this? I'm trying not to spoil it, so I'm kind of talking cryptically here, but so anyway, so what drove and inspired you to write Misty? How did it come about? Either tactically, tangibly, or like from within the heart? Like, how did this come about?
So I was commissioned in 2012 by the Bush Theatre. I had no idea what to write, and I told those guys, I was like, Madani Yunus, who's the artistic director of the Bush, I told him at the time that I don't know, I might not write anything for a hot minute. With me in my head, a hot minute was a year.
And had you written, just to check, had you written before that? You'd been writing?
Yeah.
Okay, so they commissioned based on stuff they'd seen you do, or just a hunch, or what was it?
Yeah, Madani had seen a play called Little Baby Jesus.
Okay, yeah.
Which I had on at the Oval House Theatre, and then it went to Latitude Festival, and I think he saw it at Latitude, and then met with me in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hot minute turned out to be 3 hot minutes. 3 years later, that's when I got the idea about what I wanted to write, sort of anyway. And then I kind of challenged myself, and I thought it was a little bit too challenging to tackle that idea, and so I kind of tried to chicken out. I tried to pay Madani the commission back. I was like, look, man, I can't deliver. And he said, just take your time. I didn't commission a play, I commissioned the writer. You know, there is no deadline, just kind of take your time. And I'm so glad he did that, because we wouldn't have Misty if he didn't. Because I just I thought about it again, but from a different place. This is when as I said, like I decided to be more honest about it, you know, about the work I was making. And Misty, inspirations around it. Yeah. One, growing up in Hackney, coming back to Hackney, seeing how much Hackney has changed. I guess meeting up with mates in cafes and talking about, you know, that place that used to be there now that's gone and it's turned into this now. Kind of like putting all those ideas together, you know, and all those feelings together and laughing about it, you know, and also kind of like just helping to organize your thoughts and your emotions. And also, so there's, Misty is kind of, and I don't think this gives away too much, but I play two characters in Misty, right? And it's kind of like so there's two kind of storylines running parallel, and then they begin to interweave. One of them is the character, well, you can call him Lucas, right? And he has, I guess he's wondering what's happening in his area. You know, he's quite frustrated with what we learn through the play is gentrification. That story is like an extended metaphor. You know, it's told in like a kind of separate world. It feels quite surreal. And then there is this other quite absurd storyline, which I'm playing. I'm playing a character whose name is Arinzé, who is it's a fictional kind of surreal version of myself. And those scenes are quite absurd, you know. But that is me navigating through this creative industry, you know. That Arinzé is also a playwright, and also has to deliver plays, and also has to, you know, talk to producers and his agent, and the play that he's writing is the play that we're seeing. So that's the Lucas story. And so, yeah, so, and then they begin to kind of like cross over, and you're not sure in the end, like, you know, you're not sure who's who. But that is what Misty is, you know. It kind of holds a mirror in between Lucas and Arinzé, and kind of, you know, it shows you, I guess, similarities in their world, you know, similar challenges. Because I've had my own obstacles as a writer, trying to create honest work, and also trying to kind of, I guess, to basically to just batter these demons all the time, you know. Yeah, without giving too much away, that's kind of like
it's great.
That's kind of the overlook of it all.
And I'll say final question before we move to the audience. So have your questions ready, because I could talk all night, but it's not fair. How have the audiences responded? How do you feel it's been responded? They've responded to, specifically in this run at Trafalgar Studios. I don't know if it's any different to the Bush, but tell us. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's not actually that different. I mean, so the Bush was really good because, well, it was really good. We sold out, and then we extended, and then we sold that out, and now we have been doing really well in the West End, so much so that we've sold out. I mean, well, not sold out, sorry, but we've extended to November the 17th, and so we're going for another month on top of what we were meant to do. That is a treat. More people get to see this story. For me, I mean, if you ask about what the audience feedback has been, we wouldn't be in the West End if it weren't for audiences. You know, they brought us here. You know, they came to the Bush and they sold us out. You know, and then they extended us, and then they were the ones who were demanding, you know, that they wanted more Misty, you know, because of their family members hadn't come and see it, and because of like, you know, more people need to, and so that would be the kind of, for me, that's number one, you know, because if there's no demand, then what do you have, you know? So that's why we're there in the West End, and then on a nightly basis, you know, it's kind of it's good. It's kind of the play is really. I mean, it's a play that I get to play with the audience every night. You know, I break the fourth wall. You know, I talk to you guys about something. If if stuff gets weird in the theater, which sometimes it does, you know, I have the capacity to stop, you know, the scene and to engage, and so yeah, it's been really special. You know, it's really like I think we all struggle to describe Misty, including my director as well, because of it's so different on every night because of this this kind of relationship that I have with the theatre and what the audience are giving me at that time, because I'm clowning a little bit in that show as well, and just like a small element like that can change everything, because with clowning you're responding to what an audience is giving you, and so like if you're really loving when I do this thing tonight, then I might go a little bit further, and if you love it even more, then I'll go even further, and if you love it even more, then I'll go even further, until the point where, and literally, we're milking it, but that's the thing, and we've had quite a few of those moments where the difference between one scene the night before and that night is like night and day, it's because of, the audience are giving me something, I'm responding to it in the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely was the impression I got when I saw it. I specifically used the word like captivating, because when I was wondering in my head, like, gosh, also you do this every single, like 8 shows a week, right? And but you, like, it felt like very much like your energy was just like, this is one-off, I've never done this before. So kudos to you on that, and the energy. And it's good to hear that you kind of read and feed off the audience. And I think it does make a holistic experience. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Shall we move to Q&A? Let's move to Q&A. So there is a mic at the back.
Just standing there alone.
Yeah, so we do need folks to stand at the mic. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. Yeah, I should have probably mentioned that there will be a mic stand at the back, and you should. Wonderful. So if you could state your name, if you're happy to, and then question nice and loud. Thank you.
My name is Jolade Olusanya. Raised the same way as you in Nigeria, and Hackney, still in Hackney. So I completely understand the frustrations that you illustrated throughout the play. Wanted to ask about a few things. I'll start with this one. The cross-media convergence in the play was incredible. And I wanted to know, how did you come up with that idea? Because even with the use of space as well, it's unlike anything I've seen before in my life. You were literally breaking the fourth wall with those mediums as well, which, again, I don't think I'll ever see anyone do it as well as you. So I wanted to know, how did you come up with that? And did you predict the effect it would have on the people watching? Because it's so seamless. Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. I've actually never been asked so specifically that question before, but that is, as in the question about predicting what an audience would respond to. So we do, we're being smart asses in Misty quite a bit, actually, and so we think we try and take you a bit this way, and then or you think you're going that way, and then things take a right, and then we go, all right, cool, we're staying on this course for a bit, and then pull the rug, but without making an audience feel like silly, you know what I mean? Because that's a thin line, we kind of, you have to kind of do it playfully, and make them feel like, didn't see that coming. So one of our ways of doing that is through playing with the form, so it's, we got lucky because Misty is a telling of that story, right? But we decided, and by we, I mean me and Omar, my director, not to approach it from a way where, we're just doing what is best to serve the story, right? So we're not restricted by any sort of, like as I mentioned earlier, pre-existing structures as far as what a traditional play looks like, on the page or whatever. Even if you open the play text, it doesn't look like a traditional play because we're using many different mediums. And as well, the play text it's not even possible to completely, that doesn't show you, you can't read it and know what the play is, because there's performance art in there as well that you'd need 100 pages to explain everything, every turn that I do and repetitive movement or whatever. I digress. So because of we approached this from a standpoint where we were saying, let's do whatever we can, whatever's best in order to tell the story, it meant that some bits we were like, okay, some bits you can do direct address, and some bits you can jump into song, into number, and it feels like a gig. And then because of at this point, the writer feels this, let's just undercut that and go into this over here. Now, when you're creating a play that does that, you come up against certain challenges. Certain people might, think, oh, it's too experimental. Will it work or whatever? And we came up against those, I guess, types of feedback. Good feedback, I'd say. It's just because of people, they're used to a certain thing. And they would read what I've written and think, oh, this is a bit jarring. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm used to reading something that kind of flows better. But Misty was, like every play, is written to be performed. And so we knew that we needed to do some sort of sharing of it. We needed to show you rather than send you a script. And so there was a Radar Festival at the end of 2015, right? The Bush do a festival of work that is work in progress, and they also receive work from outside as well that might be complete. But as I was on commission there, we thought this is a great opportunity to do 40 minutes of this crazy-ish that we've been kind of throwing around the wall, and just show people that actually this might work. And we didn't even know if it would work anyway, but we had a feeling that it would. And then, we did 2 performances to paying audiences. So that was like a normal audience. So it's not like an audience of peers or, friends or whatever,
Honest feedback.
It was an honest, And we realized that, we have something special, let's do more of this. And also we don't, as far as like kind of changing of, me being on stage, / me, like a pre-record or this, that, we realized that all that stuff works, and after that sharing, I think the main kind of thing we gathered was to go even further down the rabbit hole. And so that's why we have Misty. And also, we're not even done with it, if I'm honest with you, bro. Like, as in, this is the state, this is where we are now. But the Misty in the West End, we improved on it. With a week's rehearsal, we improved on it from when it was on at the Bush. Some people come and see it in the West End and say that they feel like they're watching it for the first time. It's because we tweaked so much. We changed like small things that we thought people wouldn't notice, but people have come away and gone like, that wasn't there before. That was not there before, was it? I didn't miss that.
I hold you to it.
And I think if it has another leg, there's also some more things that myself and Doma are willing to want to put in there.
Fabulous, thank you. Next question. We've got time, don't worry.
Hello.
Hey.
So you've said that making honest work is really important to you, and I think you've always done that. So I've known you since you was an artist called Street Journalist. I remember listening to that album and just like tweeting you, I love it. Street Journalist, I am is like my favourite track. Did you ever foresee this journey from that space? So when you were Street Journalist, did you foresee this journey from that space?
Firstly, freaking gold stars. Wow,
Great.
Took me back. Street Journalist was my artist name when I was in a few bands, and I used to write rhymes, hip hop. Released mixtapes and stuff in my teens. In my teens.
And did your dad know about this? Did you keep that?
Listen, man, he did not know about this at all, man.
Okay.
He wasn't, that would have been the end of Street Journalist. But no, you're right, actually. I was honest when I was writing rhymes when I was a teenager. I felt like I was being honest. Something happened along the way when I got into playwriting, where I definitely took a a step away. I feel like with Street Journalists, I was writing for me, as in there was no character. You know, it was like that was the name of the artist, but those were my words that I was speaking about, my experiences. And then when you start to create characters, you know, I feel like maybe that was what it was. Who knows? But yeah, I just started getting a bit phony, and then, you know, I would still say that, like, I guess the plays that I've written are, you know, they have a lot of my heart in it, but I definitely know that, and, you know, a lot of artists will say this as well, but, like, you know, some things you write are more honest than others, and it's just the case, where you can kind of get deeper. I didn't foresee this happening. In fact, when I started writing plays, I think I started writing when I was 19, and I actually didn't. I gave up music. I kind of stepped back. I stepped away from it, and Misty is the first time I've put music back into my work, and I quite like it. You know, that's why it was also really quite fun. It felt like I was in my bedroom again. You know, like just kind of writing bars, but I didn't see this.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Like the musical aspect, the enjoyment. I got that impression that you were really enjoying it, the music piece of the performance. So
yeah, I feel
it's
lucky.
good. Yeah. Tony.
Hi, my name's Tony. I know.
Your name's Tony? Who are you, man?
I know Arinzé from playing
way back.
basketball when I first moved to London. Great guy. Not a great basketball player, but not good. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But one thing I do want to say, I got to see the show a couple of weeks ago. It was excellent. It was interesting. I was like excited to come see you perform. I'd seen you in The Girl from the North Country. I was excited to see this. I was a bit skeptical. I was like, it's going to be you for like however many hours or however many years. I was like, what's this going to feel like? But I think the real testament to it was when we got to the intermission and my partner was there and she had half a drink left and she was like, wow, I didn't even drink this, and she's Scottish, and that was like a big thing. So we were absolutely captivated, right? She's gonna kill me for telling that story. But the one thing I do want to say, or I want to ask you about, is around the comedy aspect, the humor to it. I personally find there's one particular song in it that I was like really taken back by, and I was in it and I was really kind of upset, challenged, thinking about it. It was pretty hard going, and you're tackling some serious issues, and then you jump to an interesting kind of scene just before the intermission for those that have seen it, where you add humor and comedy to it. So I'm really interested in the journey around how you effectively try and use humor to kind of soften that blow, or like what's the thinking behind using comedy alongside very, very serious issues?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's just weird. It's Tony. It's Tony from the courts. Like, you know, I'm just used to playing basketball with Tony. First of all, I'd just like to say that I'm coming back from my freaking mate. I'm coming back to the courts. I haven't been for a while, and Tony's getting pretty cocky, you know. Yeah. And I think he's forgotten about my crossover. Yeah. So I'm coming back to lace you, mate. I love playing basketball with you. But it's I guess it's like music, isn't it? You know, it's we definitely know what we're doing whenever we kind of take an audience, right? Like, it's like we kind of grab them by the hair and then we take them under deep, and then it's like, it's really dark. And then we just kind of go whoom and we just pull them up and then they're gasping for air. We do that a lot in the play. We undercut quite serious moments with levity, you know, with humor, with something quite absurd or unexpected. We do it a few times. And the reason why is because we know that audiences like how that feels. You know, it's kind of like, it's a bit, you get to purge, don't you? You know, you get to kind of just, you know, you kind of go, oh man, whew. Well, that wasn't, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I'm not in there anymore. It's playful, it's a dance, you know? The comedy as well, the humor and the clowning and the absurdity, and also sometimes some of the surreal moments that feel quite comical. Those are things that we, well, as a performer, I want to be doing more of, as in my work. I haven't been given the chance to a great deal, but I want to, I love comedy, you know, I love to make people laugh. I think that when you do, so another thing that we've realized is that when you do make them laugh, then, then you could actually, I'm saying them, I mean, fuck it. But with story, it's a give and a take, you know? And you have to, you don't have to do anything. But I like to entertain and then educate, you know? Or entertain and then challenge, you know? And that's it, you know? It's just the kind of, with every, you know, it's like, you know, sometimes I see it as basic as like a boxing match, you know? So you get your 3 minutes in the ring, and then you get rest, you know? And that rest feels really nice, you know? You get some sugary drink and like, you know, some old man rubbing your shoulders, you know? And you're getting told in your ears that you're great, you know? And, you know that there's more, you know, to go. There's a longer fight, you know, and with, you know, with audiences, it's like, you know, you push, there's a push and a pull. You know, and that's how I like to tell story anyway. You know, I like to talk about something that's meaningful. You know, I like to challenge something that is very often quite difficult to challenge for me. But then while I'm doing it, I always ask, are they being entertained?
Yeah, and comedy can really build rapport, and then you can talk about the more meaningful things. Absolutely.
Rapport, yeah.
Thank you, that's awesome. We'll go with final question if that's all right, and then we'll wrap up because we've got a show to go to. But yeah, hello, hi.
Hi, Arinzé, my name is Ivan. I had a question around, so I'm really interested in the creative process. And what advice would you give in someone that's creating something, it could be anything, how do you manage your mindset and then the goal you're trying to achieve? So basically just what would your advice in terms of going through this creative process to produce Misty?
If I could say one thing only, it would be start before you're ready. Because everyone, myself, yes, always waiting for like a moment, you know? Or waiting until like I'm smart enough to tell that story, or until I know enough about that subject to tell that story, or until I feel whatever, you know, or whatever, till my son graduates. Like it's, you can be waiting forever, you know, just start. That's just kick off, like, you know, find out what you know, in whichever way you choose to do it, you know, whether it's that you wanna, you know, you set a very basic goal for yourself and say, all right, cool, let me just write one line of this thing first. Or whether it's like you go, all right, cool, I'm gonna write like the end of the play now, you know, and or if it's a play or whatever. That would be what I would say if I had one thing, just start, because of I feel like if you have a creative mind, one of the things that are incredibly useful for the creative mind is doubt, right? And the reason why, in my opinion, is because of doubt. Without doubt, you wouldn't have scrutiny, you know, and you wouldn't. And I think in order to scrutinize your work, in order to interrogate it yourself, that's what makes good work, you know. You have to kind of, you have to test it, you know. However, that is also the thing that prevents people from making work. Over-testing, you know, like, you know, you kind of, or interrogating it too much before you've even begun. Like, while that doubt is incredibly valuable, don't let it prevent you from beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, fabulous. So one final question to close out. What's next for you? And I'm gonna, people can go look on IMDb for what's up next for you in terms of your role, but share with us like one dream or one aspiration. What do you really want to do? Just share an aspiration with us. Putting you on the spot here.
Feel it, I can feel it. I'm on the spot.
We have time.
Just one. Yeah, creatively, to be even more, to tell even just one more story, where I've been as honest as I have been there, I'd be very happy. I'd be incredibly happy. Just one more, because that's for me. That's why Misty's been the hardest thing that I've ever done ever, because of being so open, and yeah, that's all. And I actually have a story in mind that I plan to be as honest with, and I keep chickening out, because even knowing this, knowing that I have to be brave to tell that story, it doesn't make you brave to tell a story, I still have to kind of work my way up. And at the moment, I know what I'm doing by procrastinating. I'm kind of like putting a team together, and going, let's meet this composer and let's, who's gonna, I really want that director, and
But you're not focusing on actually like the core.
No, I know.
I think that's fair.
I'm kind of like messing around, but playing with my food, But yeah, that would be great, man. For that one anyway. If I can be brave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've definitely set the foundation with Misty, so I think it's, probably very achievable. I think many people around the world would probably really value that, appreciate that, and look forward to that. So some people might hold you to that. But wishing you all the luck with that. In the meantime, Misty, fantastic. Have a wonderful show tonight. Thank you for coming to see us. Please come see us again.
I will.
It's been a pleasure. Come see Tony again. Big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.